Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the press conference for Right Now, Wrong Then, which screens this afternoon as a world premiere here in Locarno. With us, we have director Hong Sang-soo and the lead actress of the film, Kim Min-hee, plays Hee-jung. If there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hands, and we can get to you. Or I can begin. Did we watch one film or two films? Because there's a film called Right Now, Wrong Then, and a film called Right Then, Wrong Now.
I guess it's one film.
It's one film.
Yeah.
What for you is the difference between the two parts of the film, or do you prefer to leave it up to the interpretation of the viewer?
I did something there, and it's totally up to the viewer how to perceive the film. What I tried to do was between two parts. I didn't want anyone to have a clear interpretation, logical interpretation in terms of a relationship between two parts. So I'm just curious how each person perceives this. The reason I maybe try to avoid this any kind of logical interpretation between two parts is these two parts, the main difference is made by the subtle differences in detail. And that's something I never done before. I always relied on some kind of structural help for making people understand easily. But, the structure is very simple, but there are very subtle differences in detail. So it's very almost impossible to make a clear interpretation how the relationship between these two parts. And I want just to know what other people respond to this kind of film.
We have an interpretation in the front.
Yeah.
Buongiorno, è un film che definirei un gioiello, mi è piaciuto, è splendido e volevo sapere, è una sorta di self-portrait l'attore che impersona un regista? Perché ci sono è molto riconoscibile come se fosse un autoritratto e lei si riconosce di più in quello giusto, in quello sbagliato o in entrambi, se è un autoritratto.
Of course, it's not intended to be a real self-portrait, but because I'm using so much detail from my life, the character reveals many aspects of my life naturally. So in a way, it's self-portrait, but it's not real or orthodox self-portrait, if you know what I mean. But what was your last question? It was an interesting question.
In which one you find yourself?
Both, I guess. Yeah. The first part, I can identify it. The second part also. So these two parts are kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of colliding each other. Sometimes I want to change into someone else. But sometimes I feel I'm stuck with something I cannot change. You know what I mean? So these two things are coexisting inside me.
In italiano? In italiano? Ok. Allora, io provo con l'interpretazione, l'ho interpretato emotivamente. Allora mi sono chiesta se per caso le due differenti situazioni sono date dal carattere delle due diverse persone, dal loro stato d'animo, dalle emozioni che provano nella prima parte del film e nella seconda parte del film. Ha senso quello che ho pensato? E la seconda domanda per l'attrice è quanto è stato difficile interpretare due personaggi diversi nella stessa situazione. Grazie.
I'm very sorry, I couldn't catch the first. Yeah, can you
I didn't
ask
quite
for
get
this?
the. Can you repeat it? It was maybe a little clearer. I didn't quite get the question, the first part. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just simply... Ok, no, la mia domanda era che io l'ho interpretato emotivamente e quindi se ha senso la mia interpretazione, ovvero che a seconda del carattere, dell'atteggiamento nei confronti della vita, delle emozioni dei due personaggi, la vita cambia, quindi a seconda dell'atteggiamento che tu hai nei confronti della vita e delle emozioni che tu vivi.
I cannot say it's correct interpretation because I believe everyone has a right to have their own interpretation. But your interpretation sounds very nice. Okay.
And the second question was for.
그냥 굉장히 즐기면서 했던 것 같고요. 어떤 좀 더 외롭고 그렇게 힘든 감정을 2부에서는 많이 실었고 그냥 그때 그 상황에 어떤 일어나는 일들에 맞춰서 연기를 감정을 조금 더 누르면서 그렇게 즐겁게 촬영했고 힘들다기보다는 좀 어떻게 조금씩 변하는지를 제가 느끼면서 했기 때문에 재밌었다고 얘기할 수 있어요.
For me, I simply very much enjoyed the process of filming. In the second half, I tried to convey lonelier and more difficult feelings that were experienced depending on the situation and the emotions that get suppressed consequently, and trying to experience the subtle changes that were evoked. So for me, it was a very enjoyable experience.
Grazie. Innanzitutto volevo sapere quanto è importante l'uso dello zoom nel suo cinema, ho visto che anche in quest'ultimo film è molto ricorrente per avvicinarsi o allontanarsi dai personaggi. E la seconda domanda è che rapporto ha con la critica coreana, visto la reazione del regista nel primo episodio? Grazie.
Okay. I don't know how important Jumin is for me. That's something I do. Just one day I just wanted to use Jumin, and then I liked it, the result, and I just keep doing it. I think when I use Jumin, there are other reasons I use it. But it makes a kind of internal rhythm in the scene. That's what I like about Jimin. I can make some kind of what is the word? You can make a mark in the long scene, some kind of mark, and then change the rhythm. I like that part. And about critics' response to my films, about character, you mean? I don't know. I never asked. Maybe some people don't like it. Some people, I don't know.
Yes. 1 second. Just with the microphone.
In one episode of the film, the main character goes to a screening in maybe a film society, and then there is a question and answers about the film. Did you have such experiences yourself?
No, never had one. I just made up. But I had some questions I didn't like.
And then another question. At one point, they are going into a movie theater and they are watching a film. You don't see anything from the screen, but you hear just the sound.
Yes.
Are they watching a film of yours?
It's coming from my film, the sound of my film, my last picture, The Hero of Freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
경험을
Volevo chiedere una curiosità, volevo soddisfare. In questo fantastico gioco tra somiglianze e differenze, tra continue variazioni sullo stesso tema, di cui ormai è diventato veramente un'arte del cesello, mi sono sempre chiesto quale sia la parte lasciata all'improvvisazione, cioè quanto sia anche il contributo degli attori o delle situazioni che si determinano man mano, e quanto invece sia scritto tutto perfettamente già calcolato, diciamo, prima di mettere in scena. Grazie.
All the dialogue they say in the film is all scripted, but the motivation and my initial motivation for this film coming from the actors. That's how when I meet them and when I decide to work with her and other person, and I try to have some kind of impression about them as a person. And then, of course, it's just my own interpretation or impression about them. I don't care it's correct interpretation or impression. Just I have some impression, and then that impression reminds me of some of things happened in my life in the past, and that triggers something. That triggered to think about some situation, and then the situation moving and then becoming, how can I say? Maybe it's a simultaneous thing. I don't know. When I'm reminded of someone in the past or some situation because of this actor and actress, and then some situation, central situation coming up, and then structural thing coming out again and, at the same time, and then they mix together, and then they become kind of basic outline of film. So it's very, very strong help from actor and actress. But what they actually say in the film are all scripted.
Could you? Oh yeah, another one.
Hi. Why the cinema of the last scene is almost empty? There's no much public there.
Realistic. It's realistic.
Why did you structure the film this way? Why is the first part, and the second part? Could they be reversed? Or would it make a difference? I mean, it wouldn't make a difference, obviously, but...
It's hard to say. I first made up this first part, and then I think a natural response from myself, because I made this first part. I wanted to make a second part which has some, how can I say, these characters in the second part, I want them to have some kind of reflection about this first part. But they are not supposed to know what happened in the first part. So, but it's a natural thing for me. So I let the actor and actress to see the first part, and then explain them. This is two totally different worlds. It's not. You cannot make a logical connection between two parts, but just see this first part and observe them. That's what I asked them to do, and then in strict, I could say this guy in the second part. Kind of, I want him to be kind of guy who has this kind of experience in the past of the first part, and some kind of regret had, and then he wanted to correct it. in the girl in the second part, she's kind of depressed in the beginning of second part. I just imagine that the reason why she is so gloomy and is maybe because she was emotionally hurt by some kind of a failed relationship, and that could be related to the first part, what happened. But that cannot be clear. But I had that kind of line of thought when I made the second part.
In the presentation of the film in the daily of the festival, the director himself gave an interpretation very interesting of the two parts, and so I wanted to ask you, what do you think about it? Because it compares the first part to the documentary, Life as It Is, and the second part to the fiction, to another different form of cinema, Life as It Should Be. I know that you can't give you the answer, won't give you the answer of the right interpretation, but I'm curious, what do you think about it?
It sounds very nice too.
Thank you.
What would be a bad interpretation? What would be a bad interpretation? What would be a bad interpretation?
I haven't heard yet. 첫 번째하고 두 번째 봤을 때 관계가 첫 번째에 대한 어떤 무슨 후회 같은 거 있잖아. 그런 게 반영된 것 같아. 느꼈다.
The way you just described the making of this film sounds like it took a while, longer than normal for you. I remember the last time you were here with Arjun, you described that every day you'd write the scenes and then go meet the actors and then shoot the scenes the same day. But this one, because you did it all twice, and also the same scenes but different twice, sounds much more complicated. Would you agree, or was it easier than it sounded to shoot?
It wasn't so difficult. I enjoyed it.
How long was the shoot?
So 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
We have time for one more question, if anyone has one. Any more interpretations? We get a bad one, maybe. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.